Hello， 大家好，欢迎回到外媒看中国，我是安博然。China has hit back hard against Trump's massive tariff increase by slapping its own 34% tax on all American goods imported into China, shocking world markets and sending Trump himself into a frantic, caps-laden social media rant. China is clearly signaling that it will not cower down like other tariffed countries have, instead fighting back an eye for an eye. Except Trump and the US are set to be damaged much more significantly than China will. Today, we'll go beyond the propaganda. This is Reports on China. I'm Andy Borham here in Shanghai. Let's get reporting. Western media was in hysterics after China announced it was levelling its own 34% tariffs on goods imported from the United States, matching Trump's arbitrary international tariff announcement on April 2. The New York Times ran with a short and dramatic first paragraph, almost gleefully stating, "China has struck back at President Trump." They quoted an expert as saying, "China is in a better position to win this round of trade frictions." CNN quoted another expert who added, "This is a significant escalation of China's response. Xi Jinping appears to feel that China's economy is strong enough to withstand whatever Trump throws at it next." The Guardian ran with the headline, "China hits back hard at bullying Trump tariffs as global recession fears grow," adding that the investment bank JP Morgan said it now sees a 60% chance of the global economy entering recession by the end of the year, up from 40% previously. China's retaliation, which appears to have effectively surprised the Western mainstream media, also caught President Trump off guard, sending him into a caps-laden rant on Truth Social. He wrote, "China played it wrong. They panicked. The one thing they cannot afford to do." But here's the thing. China is not stupid, and China will not bite off its own nose in spite of its face. It's important to keep 2 points in mind. Firstly, the US imports much more from China than China imports from the US. In fact, last year, the US bought $426.9 billion of goods from China, while China only bought $147.8 billion from the US. That point alone makes the impact on China of this two-way 34% tariff increase a lot more manageable. But the second point is even more in China's favor, which is that the goods China buys from the US can be cost-effectively purchased from other markets. So China can simply stop buying many of its imports from the United States, which means their 34% reciprocal tariff will not, in effect, need to be paid by Chinese importers and end customers. The US, on the other hand, is much more reliant on the Chinese goods that it imports and cannot cost-effectively buy them from any other market to avoid these tariffs. China is the manufacturing powerhouse of the world. There simply is not a substitute. Professor Warwick Powell, in a piece titled "America the Rogue, Time for Multipolarity to Move Forward," explains, "In short, China's 34% tariff announcement effectively means it is creating the conditions whereby Chinese firms and customers will, for sensible economic reasons, turn their attention away from American goods and seek substitutes from others." So what exactly does China import from the US, and how can those imports be substituted? Well, Professor Powell continues, "Brazil, Argentina, Spain, and Denmark at the front of the queue with alternatives to American soybeans, corn, and sorghum. Add to the list meat proteins, and you've got Australia and New Zealand looking on with enthusiasm, not to mention other countries in Europe and Latin America. China has been a market for US liquid natural gas, which can be sourced from Qatar, Australia, and Russia. China can boost imports of crude oil from Saudi Arabia, Russia, and Iran. Germany, Switzerland, Japan, and domestic biotech firms will fill the void of American medical equipment and pharmaceuticals." Professor Powell says that there is very little in the world that America supplies that cannot be substituted cost-effectively from suppliers elsewhere, and that China's 34% reciprocal tariff on all American goods will create and push an expansion of Chinese imports from other countries across a broad range of products. He continues, as the rest of the world seeks to recalibrate its trading posture, China emerges as its largest growth market opportunity. The long-run trend in the changing contours of international trade have not been disrupted by Trump's tariffs. If anything, the trend has been accelerated. Responsible global actors will continue to see the merits in multilateral trade. America going rogue reinforces this message and consolidates the opportunity for the rest of the world to deepen trading relationships and hasten the arrival of a truly multipolar world. China's 34% tariff on imported US goods will begin on April 10, a day after Trump's tariffs take effect. Now, it'll be interesting to see what happens between now and then, and whether or not Trump takes the hint and starts acting like an adult again, or doubles down and throws his toys out of the cot. And on that note, that will be it for today, you guys. But as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Will China's reciprocal tariffs against the US force Trump out of his fantasies of former US glory? Or do you hope he leaves them in place and drives more and more countries away from trade with the United States? Let me know down below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help the channel. We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.